No, Professor Meatball, I was actually giving an apology and an update on my behavior and the live stream that I hope you guys all saw. Go ahead and check that out. That's the one that just happened during after hours when I noticed that there is something that I want to bring to your attention. Did you guys know that you can look at Darkpool data available free to the investing public? This is something that you guys can take a look at right away, and I've already started the process for you. In fact, all you need to do is go over to this little tab here, OTC non-ATS issued data, and if you guys stick to the end of the video and help this video get up to 1,700 likes, well, that is going to be a piece of the puzzle. Go ahead and comment out which like you are, and tell us a little bit more so that we can defeat that algorithm and more apes can find out about this message. Because if you switch this to monthly and then bring this to AMC, it's kind of like pumping a code into a secret encoder. But here is the 1.2 billion trades from the non-dark pool OTC, over-the-counter or off-exchange data from March. And in March, we had 500 million in Citadel and then close to the same in Virtue. And so we don't talk very much about Virtue. We usually use Kenneth Griffin as a punching bag because he is really at the helm of Citadel and he's kid genius anyway, right? But have you noticed that GME has Virtue on the very top for March, right? Actually by a significant margin, on 80 million versus about 100 million trades for Virtue. So in that sense, can we actually take a look at this article from the Wall Street Journal? New SEC chairman setting its sights on Citadel Securities and Virtue in order to be able to tell us when are regulations going to kick the squeeze engine into overdrive. Thank you guys for staying for the important little trick people might perform at the end of this video. So, testifying before Congress last week, right, we also streamed that live, Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler criticized the system that funnels orders to Citadel Securities and Virtue, which pay for the opportunity to trade with retail stocks and options orders. We know that the Gensler has something major planned for these large institutions that have so much weight to throw around. So there you go. Mr. Gensler said such incentives called payment for order flow represent a conflict of interest for online brokerages, which collectively make billions of dollars a year from the practice. He voiced concern that the trading firms handling most individual investors' orders control too much of the business. In an interview with CNBC on Friday, Mr. Gensler went further, comparing the retail wholesalers unfavorably with public exchanges whose prices are considered lit. And yeah, he did say lit. He also said very similar things to I like the stock. So from that perspective, Gary Gensler knows about the zeitgeist of the meme world, and he is one of us, at least on the outward appearance, sending us secret messages and the like. So a lot of these are really just going to the wholesalers. They are not as lit, they're not as competitive, he said, so it's not as clear we are actually getting best execution on an unlit, internalized wholesaler as contrasted to the lit markets. As a reminder, the data that we're looking at is not from the dark pool. It is non-ATS, and that's something you can think about as non-dark pool. So this is lit data, but we are still taking a free crack at the FINRA website, giving us transparency since 2014. And the FINRA CEO chair also was at the congressional hearing, and he had a couple of important things to say. So I believe that these two bulls are in the corner of the apes here. It's unclear whether the SEC would go as far as banning payment for order flow. Doing so would make it harder for brokerages to offer zero commission trading. Webull, get your 2 free stocks with the link in the description down below. And the agency has reviewed the practice several times in the past without prohibiting it. Brokers and traders say routine orders to wholesalers benefits investors. Well, people close to Mr. Gensler said his regulatory instincts come from his long experience in markets, including years at Goldman Sachs Group, Inc. Mr. Gensler puts more trust in regulated trading venues that post prices publicly and is generally skeptical of less transparent systems that gives intermediaries more power to set prices. We know Gensler's track record, especially in breaking down the financial crisis in 2008 and giving us a hope that he is the right person for the job, right? Joe Biden put him there, and that should speak a little bit about his political connections, right? He has a showman attitude. He knows exactly how to swing for the bleachers. And in fact, during that congressional hearing, when Congressman Rashida Tlaib was giving him hardball questions about some of these unprepared remarks, he was actually starting to get deer in the headlights reactions to it. So he might not be showing us everything, but at the very least, according to this Wall Street Journal article, he's giving it his sights set on Citadel and Virtu. And at the very least, from the data that FINRA provides, those are the two people that we haven't been able to, especially for Virtu, provide transparent DD on quite yet. Okay. So he is certainly looking at it more critically than the SEC has in recent years, says Larry Harris, University of Southern California professor and former SEC chief economist. Gary has correctly identified a serious conflict of interest between the interests of the broker and of its clients. In the first 3 months of 2021, Citadel Securities paid more than $475 million to brokers for handling their customer stock and option orders, making it the biggest source of payment for order flow, according to Bloomberg Intelligence. Among the largest recipients of such payments were TD Ameritrade, owned by Charles Schwab, and Robinhood Markets. So what does Robinhood do? Let me quickly draw this out for you to explain payment for order flow. For those of you that have stayed this far into the video and want to know visually, what is that? When you make an order, let's say you want to buy 100 shares of AMC at this price, which is $12.69 right now, what's trading for after hours, you can then tell your broker, let's call them a bad broker name, a fictional name, let's call them Robinhood. And now you go to Robinhood and you say, hey, I want to be able to buy 100 shares of AMC at this price. Robinhood then, for free, takes your order to a clearinghouse or a market maker and then says, hey, I'm the broker, I'm instituting this, but first, before you execute this order, can I please send this information and the price at which this order should be executed at to some high frequency trading bots? No? Well, okay, I'm going to do it anyway, and they get a commission off of it. In fact, their commission should be based on how many shares, how many trades there are. Shouldn't be based on the spread, which is how bad of a deal you're getting. It's the margin on which the true price, the best execution, and the not so best execution gets executed, right? So sometimes you look at the price on Webull and you see $12.70. What if the true price and the spread is actually pretty large? Well, the larger it is, the more Robinhood makes on top of its commission. And by selling your data, it not only puts your own trade at risk, it also gives the high-frequency trading algorithms a chance to collect a simulation worth, an entire universe worth of data right there, and then bet against you. Basically, if you had your house on sale for $100,000 on your street, fully for everyone else to see, all the real estate sharks are going to come in and they're going to snipe on that price because you just told everyone the price that you're willing to settle at. That is payment for order flow, and that's how they've been able to keep these trading apps free. So will there be reform in the future, and what will Citadel and Virtu have to answer for? That is up for Gary Gensler to decide, but you know that if you guys have those bells turned on, I know you guys have subscribed, but those of you who don't have your bells on, you might just miss the next video talking about the dark pool activity. So thank you guys for chilling with us, and take a look at this Patreon, right? We are excited for those of you that have pressed that join button and are now showing up on the Moon Platoon Gorillionaire and Meatball Space Legend tier. If you guys haven't seen your names quite yet, it's because I will finally stop procrastinating and put your names up there. Thank you guys so much. Professor Meatball, thanks you as well, and we'll see you in the money.